Everybody, to the first school board recognition ceremony of the school year. My name is Wayne Kazmerchik. I'm the superintendent, and it's my pleasure to kick us off this evening. Every year, White Bear Lake area high school students have an opportunity to access more than 40 college-level courses as advanced placement, college in the schools courses via our partnership with the University of Minnesota, and Project Lead the Way courses. In fact, the total value of credits earned by high school students was more than $2.4 million at University of Minnesota tuition rates last year. The College Board recognizes students for success on the advanced placement exam through their AP Scholar Recognition Program. This past summer, 126 White Bear students were recognized, 79 members of the class of 2018, 37 members of the class of 2019, and 10 members of the class of 2020. Congratulations to the following AP scholars who received scores of 3 or higher on 3 or more AP exams. Senior Cooper Anderson, Senior Josephine Bellata, Senior Jeremy Beckler, Lydia Deutsch, Kaylee Halama, Benjamin Kroll, Maddie Lammers, Kirby Masso, Tyler Matson, Alan McCutcheon, that was in alphabetical order, right? Alan McCutcheon. Gotcha. It's worth another. Margaret Minnick, you threw me off. Kyle Moser, John Wynn, Ope Olusi, Anna Sanders, Sam Schwartz, This is not the perfect attendance award, no. All right, and now I will invite Mr. I'm sorry, yep. Okay, Chloe Schwieger, Colin Civic, Nathan Smith, Julia Tamala, Anna Wickstrom, and Allison Zarling. All right, now South Campus Principal Don Bosch, come on up, and Mr. Bosch will recognize students who received AP honors.
Right. Thank you, Dr. Kazmerchik. Congratulations to the following AP scholars who received an average score of at least 3.25 on all AP exams taken and scores of 3 or higher on 4 or more of these exams. Noah Anderson, Caitlin Burwald, Kyle Bejoystad, Nick Blanding, Sabrina Brown, Justin Seeley, Ian Haas, Scott Kaufman, Haley Koster, Isaac Mariama, Sam Racine, Maren Vieker, I think that's it for those. Okay. Those are our AP scholars with honor. Next, we'll have AP Scholar with distinction. Congratulations to the following AP scholars who received an average score of at least 3.5 on all AP exams taken and scores of 3 or higher on 5 or more of these exams. Valid Abid, Clay Ansley, Eamon Kerrigan Cordell, Anna Lee, Sam Mahala, Claire McDamon, Did I get that right, Claire? McManaman, sorry, Claire. Nicole Peterson, Kaylee Rayburn, Olivia Schwintek, Ian Shepler, Trig Solberg, Thomas Turinsky, and Olivia Wennon. Congratulations to all of these students. Round of applause, please. All right, students, at this time we invite you back in front of our board members to have a picture taken. Parents, feel free, once we are done with our formal picture, to grab a picture yourself as well.
Okay, so if you guys could just kind of line up so you can make sure that everyone can see me. So then that means that I can see you. That'd be awesome, just to kind of find your windows. Oh! Yeah, we will, actually, if you could make a third row maybe, if you were able to do something like that so we can squeeze in a little bit more. That'd be good, perfect. Okay, Marge, can you come to the side, or I don't know if that's gonna work. Yeah, that'd be lovely. Thank you. That'd be great. Perfect. And then I can see McKenna, and then Marge, if you want to sneak up to the side, if you want to move it a little bit clear. Sorry, is it clearly? Perfect. And I can see you. And then Scott, if you just want to make sure I can see you too. Okay. There we go. Perfect. Then we can get that. Okay. All right. I'm going to take a few here. 1, 2, 3. Cheese. I'm going to take a few more to make sure no one's blinking. 1, 2, 3. Cheese. And then I'm going to move out of the way if any parents want to take pictures. Thank you.
All right, congratulations.
All right, thank you all for, what? Oh, yes, parents and family members who are here, please stand up and be recognized. Thanks for all you do. All right, and that concludes our ceremony this evening. There are cookies over on the table, so please grab one on your way out. Regular school board meeting starts at 7. So thanks for coming. Have a good night.
Good evening. I'd like to call to order Independent School District 624 to order. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Ellison? Here. Fahey here. Mullen?
Here.
Newmaster? Here. Wilson?
Here.
Beloit, absent. Chapman?
Here. All right, would you all please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, before we get into the agenda, I would like to just acknowledge Logan Jensen and Anthony Familia. I apologize if I messed that up. From Troop 151. Tonight they're getting their Communications Merit Badge, and if we can give them a round of applause, I'd appreciate it. Okay, we have before us an agenda. If there is a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
A motion by Mr. Wilson. Is there a second?
Second.
A second by Ms. Newmaster. All in favor of approving the agenda, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The ayes have it. We have an agenda. We also have before us a consent agenda, and these are the sundry items that go along with every day, which one of the things that we're very fortunate to have is our community is very generous in their donations, and this month is no exception. There are several donations inside of the packet. I want to thank the community for their generosity. We have a consent agenda. Is there a motion?
So moved.
A motion by Mr. Chapman. Is there a second?
Second?
A second by Ms. Fahey. This will require a roll call vote.
Ellison? Aye. Fahey, aye. Mullen?
Aye.
Newmaster?
Aye.
Wilson?
Aye.
Chapman?
Aye.
Okay, we have a consent agenda. All right. Now it is time at a portion for public forum. Public forum is for anybody to address the board that wish. There are some rules around that. That is open for up to 30 minutes, 3 minutes per speaker, 10 minutes per topic. Those wish to address the board should fill out a card and submit the card. Questions may be asked on any topic, including on the agenda. School district policy, data privacy precludes the board from publicly discussing personnel matters and data, including information which, if discussed in a public meeting, regarding individual school district employees should be present in writing to the school. An attempt will be made to answer questions addressed to the board. In those cases where an answer is not provided, a phone call from the appropriate school district official will be made follow-up. We'll move on to C1, which is the superintendent's report. Dr. Kasperchak.
Right. Thank you, Chair Mullen, members of the board. Before tonight's meeting, we recognized students who received honors in the AP Scholars Program. Congratulations, students. I hope community members stop by and chat with me over a cup of coffee between 7:30 and 8:30 a.m. tomorrow, Tuesday, October 9th, at the downtown White Bear Lake Caribou Coffee. There is no set agenda, so please feel free to order a coffee from the barista and find me in the meeting room to join the conversation. We'll kick off our facilities planning process tomorrow night. Our trio of teams focused on the areas of learning spaces, community spaces, and physical conditions will meet as a group in October before meeting as individual teams in November and December. We will continue to provide updates to the school board and the community throughout the process. District students are encouraged to wear orange on Wednesday, October 24th in honor of Unity Day, the signature event of National Bullying Prevention Month that has been recognized in the United States since 2011. Tickets for this year's fall musical, Mamma Mia, will be on sale for the public on Friday, October 12th. Shows will be performed at 7 p.m. on November 9th and 10th and November 15th and 17th, 15 through 17. Matinees will take place at 2 p.m. on November 10th and 17th. The November 10th matinee will have an American Sign Language interpreter and will be free for senior citizens who should reserve tickets through the regular ticket process. And the following month, week, and day celebrations are being recognized in October. Dyslexia Awareness Month, National Principals Month, Farm to School Month, Mental Health Awareness Week, Indigenous Peoples Day, which is today, National School Lunch Week, End of Hispanic Heritage Month on October 15th, National Bosses Day on October 16th, National Safe Schools Week, National School Bus Safety Week. And our schools and programs have begun their own strategic conversations and are offering families and community members the opportunity to become involved with strategic planning action teams at the school sites. Look for additional information to be coming from each of our schools. And now our student liaison update.
The 2018 school year is off to a good start. Webb and Link did a great job of making students feel more welcome to the new buildings they entered on the first day of school. The football team has had an amazing run this year with an overall score of 4-2. Come support the boys at their next game at Cretin at 7:30 this Friday. White Bear Student Council collected about 2,000 cans for the White Bear Lake Food Shelf at the Harvest Bowl football game on September 28th. The rainy and cold weather didn't stop people from participating in the homecoming activities this past week, including the parade and football game, which still had a great turnout. Seniors Jesse Doherty and Maddie Lamworth made and sold 77 flower corsages and boutonnieres for the homecoming dance. In total, they raised $994 for the charity Solid Ground, which helps fight against homelessness. Great job, ladies. Lastly, remember to go trick-or-canning on Halloween to continue support for the Wiper Lake Food Shelf. Go Bears.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll move to D1, the first discussion item, which is the 2017-2018 World's Best Workforce Annual Report. Ms. Paul.
Chair Mullen, Dr. Kazmachek, Ms. Pratt, and members of the board. We're here tonight to look at the data from 2017-18 that is going to be reported to the Minnesota Department of Education as part of our World's Best Workforce Report. We continuously review data in order to really be aware of what's happening with our students and make system improvements, and as well as making sure that we follow cohorts of students so that we can adjust instruction to better meet their needs. So our data assessment coordinator, Brian Morris, is here, and he's going to be showing us the data from last year, 2017-18, at each of the milestones for the World's Best Workforce Report. And as he shows you the data, he's also going to talk about how that data was part of informing some of the work that we're currently doing this year to meet the needs of our students. So here's Brian Morris.
Chair Mullen, Dr. Kazmachek, board members. It is on. The World's Best Workforce goals, there are 5 goals. The first is that all children are ready to start kindergarten. The second, that all third graders can read at grade level. Third, all achievement gaps between students are closed. Fourth, all students are ready for career and or post-secondary education. And the fifth, that all students graduate from high school. The first goal of all children ready to start kindergarten, we measure through considering the number of students that we screen for kindergarten readiness. In 2017-18, we screened 625 children in hearing and vision, speech and development, and health and immunization. For many families, this is our first touch point where we can educate them about our services in schools and welcome future bears. As we move forward, this metric will change to reflect the social and emotional, physical, and cognitive growth that occurs through our pre-K programming for our pre-kindergarten students. Our second World's Best Workforce metric is that all third graders can read at grade level. We measure that by looking at the percentage of our students who meet or exceed reading standards on the MCA. In 2018, 65.1% of White Bear third graders met or exceeded standards in reading, as compared to 56% of third graders across the state. We're working towards improving that, moving towards all of our students reading at grade level through deep work of modeling and collaboration between our teachers and literacy coaches, the alignment of our common assessments with the content and rigor of the Minnesota standards, and at the primary level, work in phonemic awareness, looking at comprehension, accuracy, and fluency. Our third goal is that all achievement and opportunity gaps between students are closed. We measure this by looking at participation equity in our college level courses. Our bar for participation equity has been raised to 66%, so that's 66% of our 11th and 12th graders participating in college level courses this year. And as that participation has increased, our gaps have closed or narrowed. 3 of the groups that have been underrepresented in the past are participating at that level of 66% or higher this year, and 6 other groups who are underrepresented, the gap has narrowed for them. We support our students through identifying students and preparing them for these college level classes, communicating with students and family through outreach, working to build relationships and safe environments for our student and staff to explore these courses, and then providing targeted support for our students as they participate in these courses. Our next World's Best Workforce goal is that all students are ready for career and post-secondary education, and we measure this in 2 ways. The first, measuring that they are ready for post-secondary education we strive to reduce the need for developmental coursework as our kids are in college. Developmental coursework are college courses that don't count towards college graduation. And since the class of 2012 had 35% of that class needing developmental coursework during their first 2 years, we've been able to decrease that. This year, we have data on the class of 2016. This data always has a 2-year lag. Only 19% of the class of 2016 had a need for developmental coursework during their first 2 years of college. We feel that we will continue to work towards minimizing the need for developmental coursework through the rigor of the coursework our students do in high school. We have 2 courses with which there are articulation agreements with Century College, one in math and one in language arts. Students who attain a high enough grade in those courses are able to leapfrog over developmental coursework at Century. In addition, students who participate in our college credit-bearing courses are able to move beyond developmental coursework in some cases as well. The second way that we measure preparedness for college and career is an increase in our students' participation in our career pathways. In 2017 and 18, 16% of students in grades 9 through 12 participated in one of our career pathways. Over the past 4 years, our career pathways have gone from 1 pathway in manufacturing to 4 pathways in manufacturing, IT, construction, and healthcare. Our students show their growth and their learning in these areas through earning college credit, through earning licensure, through earning internships and career exploration and certification within their fields. Our final World's Best Workforce metric or goal is that all students graduate from high school, that we have a 4-year graduation rate of, as reported by World's Best Workforce, of 100%. The class of 2017 had a 4-year graduation rate of 88.7%. Looking at the work that those students who didn't graduate have done since then, 28 of those students who didn't graduate have since graduated, putting our 5-year rate at over 93%. Over the next year, we're going to be looking at ways that we can support students to improve that 4-year graduation rate, looking at student attendance and course completion. Where are those tipping points where students are falling behind and not able to graduate in 4 years? So providing that early identification, providing interventions at those tipping points, and ways that our school climate and the relationships between our students and staff can help provide support for our students as they work towards that 4-year graduation. Those are the 5 goals of the World's Best Workforce and our work towards reaching those goals. At this point, are there any questions?
Questions for Ms. Ellison?
I have 2 questions, and one that's sort of broad and one more specific. My broad question is, does the state set these metrics, or these benchmarks, or does the district set them?
The state sets the goals, and we, other than the 3rd grade MCA metric, we essentially decide on the metrics that we use to display our progress towards those goals.
Okay. And then my specific question is about the 3rd grade reading level. So how has that percentage that was shown changed over the last couple of years? Has that gone up? Has that gone down? And does that number include students who are English learners?
It does.
Okay.
Yeah. So that number is all students in 3rd grade. We, at the 3rd grade level, so in the past year, it's gone up 0.5%. Mm-hmm. And we, as a system, it has not had the increase that we've been looking for at the 3rd grade level. We've had a bigger increase if you look at elementary as a whole, closer to over 3% elementary as a whole. But and because we had a small increase in 3rd grade and we haven't had a big increase in 3rd grade in the past few years, that's what's really leading us to digging into some of those primary pieces that puzzle us. You know, we're seeing kids, a high number of kids reading when they look at their reading levels. We are having a high number of kids at a grade level or higher reading level, yet there are some phonemic awareness metrics that we're not as strong on, and so we're digging sort of deeper into those.
Good, thank you.
Hey,
Wasn't there, I remember from the work study when some of this information, a more detailed account was presented, wasn't there a higher increase at fourth grade?
Yep.
There was a high increase at fourth
higher
grade.
increase. And our cohort, moving from last year, 2017's third grade to fourth grade, had an increase as well. So we're seeing, we're seeing the increase at the higher elementary grades, and we are digging deeper into what can we do to bring that increase into third grade as well.
Thank you.
other questions, comments? Okay, thank you both very much.
Thank you.
We will now go to discussion item D2, which is the first reading of school board policies. So I think what we'll do is I'll just run down the policies, and then we can open it up to any questions or comments regarding all of them. So we'll start with policy 206, public participation in school board meetings, complaints about persons at school board meetings, and data privacy considerations. Policy 211, criminal or civil action against school district, school board members, employees, or students. Policy 4221, gifts to employees, classrooms, and school board members. Policy 423, employee-student relationships. Policy 424, license status. Policy 505, distribution of non-school sponsored materials on school district school premises by students and employees. And Policy 509, enrollment of non-resident students. Are there any comments, questions, concerns regarding any of those policies? I know we've had them for a little while. I know there's some minor changes to all of them. Are there any comments? No? Okay, we will, I'm sorry.
I just had a
Ms. Fahey?
quick question, and it was policy 206, the public participation in school board meetings.
Yep.
I know that they've crossed out citizens of school district, and now it just says persons. And I know that before there was some question about it's just members of the school district that speak at public forum, but now that would be anyone who has an issue to bring to us would be able to speak, because we usually require that they put down their address, so we look to see if they live within the school district.
My question is then, is citizens is a word that refers to the residents in a country? And so residents of a school district would be a word that I think that would mean residents of the school district. So I think by changing citizens to persons, it feels like they're saying people who are not necessarily citizens of the country or maybe undocumented. That was the interpretation that I took from it.
Yeah, because it says citizens of school, so school district has been strucken out too, and it just says people. So people, anyone can speak to the school board. And that's because I know there was some confusion about that in the past in terms of, okay, if someone shows up here for public forum and they are not a resident of the school district, we've usually allowed them to speak, but policy-wise, we wouldn't have to. So I was just, now that school district is out of there too, and we're just talking persons, has that been a change in the general idea of who can address the school board? That was I just wondered that when I read that in terms of school district being struck out also.
Dr. Kazmierczak?
Well, I think it's both. I think it's both of what you're saying. It's the citizenship not being an issue and being able to address the board, and also others who might not necessarily be residents. Someone who's open enrolling into the district, for example, may not live within the boundaries of the district, but might have an issue to raise in front of the board. So that was the
okay, and so that's what we don't have to kind of think like, well, should this person be able? It's like anyone could address us.
Yep.
Okay, that was I just wondered if they were finally clarifying that. by striking that out. Okay.
Dr. Newmaster?
Just had one question, and I read it again just now, and I know that almost every school board meeting, we say thank you to donors of gifts and people who've supported different projects specific schools have had. You know, as I've been part of a PTA or PTO from different schools, we've had donors from different businesses to a school project, and we always say thank you and are appreciative. So is there a different place, because I'm looking at that 421 gifts to, I don't question the employees, but then it says employees, classrooms, and school board members, and I understand that, but inside in the text, it talks about a particular school or a classroom also, and it just seemed like there needed to be a little clarification, because people do give gifts to help big school projects, whether it's from some parents' business that they work for that helps and donates with a big project. So I just kind of wondered, because I mean, no one wants to discourage that, it's wonderful, but how does it fit in with this policy?
Can you point out to where specifically you're referring in policy 421, Marge?
It just talks about the school recognizes its part 2, general statement of policy, how people may show appreciation to, and obviously employees, school board members, or a particular school or classroom, and I'm thinking of the gifts to a school or a team.
The distinction is a gift to an individual employee versus a gift to a classroom to be used in the classroom. There's a difference.
I understand that, but that's why I'm saying the general statement of policy talks about how the policy of the school district is to discourage gift giving to employees, and then it says schools/classrooms. And I wondered why we still had schools/classrooms in there, because we do accept and thank people for gifts. And I just wondered if that really belongs in that list of, I mean, you're not giving gifts to individuals, you're giving gifts to a school project. But schools/classrooms are in there. So you could give a gift to a German field trip or a sports team or a school climbing wall or something like that.
Mr. Chapman?
Well, based on that, I mean, that's great input. I think maybe we might want to take a look at reverting this back to the policy committee.
That was the only
further
thing, and I was just being a wordsmith
consideration.
and thinking schools/classrooms maybe doesn't belong in that same sentence.
Right.
Okay. Any other comments, questions, concerns? So take that we'll take 421 under advisement to return back to the policy committee. All the others would be passed through? Okay. We'll see them next month for a final reading. With that, we will move on to E1, our first operational action of the evening, which is action on the resolution to combine preliminary polling places for the 2019 state preliminary and primary, and state general election. Mr. Maurer, is that you?
Good evening, Chair Mullen, members of the board, Dr. Kazmierczak. This is just an annual, annual request by the Ramsey County to combine those polling places up in Land O'Lakes that we handle every year around this time for the upcoming calendar year.
Okay. We have a recommended action that the administration recommends that the school board approve the resolution and combine the 3 polling places, P1, P4, and P6 in the Lino Lakes area for the 2019 state primary and state general election. Is there a motion to do so?
So moved.
There is a motion by Mr. Chapman. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Wilson. Any discussion? Ms. Ellison?
Hi, I just have one quick question. This is my first time seeing this sort of policy. I was confused about the combination of the polling places. So why does the board need to pass a policy, pass a resolution to combine these polling places? Why is that under our jurisdiction?
It's my understanding from Joe Mansky with the Ramsey County Board, that the school board, because it's in our school district within the area, that we have to pass the polling places, being asked to combine those. If we do it, it's something we've done every year. If you want a more detailed response, I can ask Mr. Mansky.
Yeah, mostly just because I'm curious about how that works and just why that's something that falls under us. So, but I would love more information at some point.
Yep, no, I
That'd
can
be
get that
great.
for you. No problem.
Other discussion?
Well,
Mr. Wilson?
fundamentally, Ms. Ellison, it's because the polls are on district property. You know, that we open our schools for polling purposes, and that's why we have to approve those things.
It's the combination that was, that I was curious about too. So,
Combination goes back to the Ramsey County, poll authority there. But the reason why we have to have a voice on it is because they are on district property.
And also too, Ms. Elson, that those three precinct, the polling places are relatively small in Lino Lakes. We've only got most of the district is in a different school district, so they have their portion that's in with us, so we combine the three to make it just a little bit more easier to count those ballots. All right.
thank you.
There's been a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, I think we should require a roll call vote with this.
Ellison?
Aye.
Fahey, aye. Mullen?
Aye.
Newmaster?
Aye.
Wilson?
Aye.
Chapman?
Aye.
Okay, those will all be combined. Now is the action on the Delonis? Delonis. I knew I was going to mess that up. North Campus Property Quick Claim. Mr. Wall.
Yes, good evening, Chair Mullen, members of the board, Dr. Kazmierczak. The Delonis family has owned the property at 5051 Division Avenue since 1954. In fact, they sold a significant portion of their property to the school district on land which is now North Campus. At that same time, the 12th Street going east and west was vacated at west of Division Avenue. And typically when a street is vacated, the property owner on the north side of the street gets half of the road, and the property owner on the south side gets the other half of the road. And that was the assumption of the Delonis family in 1954. In 1964, they wanted to pave their driveway, and when they tried to do so, they found out that the deed was drawn up that the school district owned all of the former 12th Street west of Division Avenue. And so they asked the school board to execute a quick claim at that time to correct the record. And they did, and the school board approved it in 1964, but the Ramsey County deed was never executed. And so now Mrs. Delonis has passed, and her son is now her estate is asking to have this fixed. So they presented a letter from 1964 from Mr. Knack, who was Assistant Superintendent for Finance and Operations at the time. And he had written a letter to the Delonis family saying the board has approved your quitclaim request, asking their attorney to drop the deed to be signed by the board. And the Delonis family doesn't know what happened at that point. There's no record that we can find that indicates it was ever properly executed. So they're requesting now that the board again approve that quitclaim request and that we sign it. We have the deed with us tonight so it can be signed. So the recommendation of administration is for the board to approve the quitclaim request of the Delonis family.
You've heard the recommendation. Is there a motion to do so?
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Allison. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Fahey. Any discussion regarding the recommendation? Okay, we'll make a roll call vote for this one also.
Ellison?
Aye.
Fahey, aye. Mullen?
Aye.
Newmaster?
Aye.
Wilson?
Aye.
Chapman?
Aye.
Okay. Next is action, operational item D3, which is action on the transportation contract.
Yeah, and I
Mr.
have this
Wall.
one too. At the July board meeting, we shared with you that the district owns and operates 39 Type C and D buses and 13 Type 3 vehicles. We run a significant portion of our student transportation in-house. We also contract with a number of vendors. Our primary vendor is First Student. They run 28 routes and about 8 different special education routes. We also have some smaller agreements with Rabine Transportation and Halo Transportation. And tonight we're asking the board to approve those 2 contracts. Available tonight if we have questions related to the contracts is Tom Watson of Watson Consulting Group. Tom's a kind of local expert on transportation contracts, and he worked on behalf of the district to develop the contracts with Rabine and Halo and our previous contracts with Twin City Transportation and First Student. So the recommendation is that the board approve the contracts with Rabine Transportation and Halo.
You've heard the recommended action. Is there a motion to do so?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Wilson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Newmaster. Is there any discussion regarding the contract? Seeing none, this will require a roll call vote.
Ellison?
Aye.
Fahey, aye. Mullen?
Aye.
Newmaster?
Aye.
Wilson?
Aye.
Chapman?
Aye.
All right, thank you very much. Now we are at operational item E4, which is the second reading of school board policies, policy 102. I think we can do these in one fell swoop.
Mr. Mullen, one correction, policy 615 has been taken out of the board packet.
Okay.
We've got some new updates from MSBA that just came in within the last couple of weeks. So we're going to pull that and refer that one back to the policy committee with some new changes from MSBA.
Okay, 615
So
is
scratch that one, yep.
scratched. Everybody got that? So we've got second reading of school board policy 102, which is the equal educational opportunity, policy 205, which is the open meeting and closed meeting, policy 506, which is the White Bear Lake Area School District student discipline policy, policy 612.3, which is the development of parent and family engagement policy for Title I programs, and policy 616, school district system accountability. Is there a motion to adopt the policies?
So moved.
A motion by Ms. Ellison. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Chapman. Is there any discussion regarding? Mr. Chapman.
Okay, on policy 506, under Article 6, I believe, and then paragraphs 35 and 40, there was a recommendation or a suggestion that we insert the word illustrations into each of those. They talk about, for example, number 35, what is considered unacceptable. Let's see here, unacceptable behaviors. 35 speaks to impertinent or disrespectful words, symbols, acronyms, or language, whether oral or written, related toward teachers or other school district personnel. So to insert in that list illustrations. And then also 40 verbal assaults or verbally abusive behavior, including but not limited to use of words, symbols, acronyms, or language. And in this case, inserting also words, illustrations, whether oral or written, that are discriminatory, abusive, obscene, threatening, intimidating, or that are degrading to other people or threatening to school property. Board member Ellison and I have reviewed that suggestion, and we recommend that that be inserted into those 2 paragraphs, the word illustrations.
Okay. You've heard the recommendation. Is there any other discussion regarding so? Ms. Fahey.
I just had a comment about policy 506, the student discipline, and I'm sorry, I wasn't here at the September 10th meeting when they were for first reading, but I don't want it pulled now, but I would like the next time the policy committee considers it, in terms of the consequences, to start looking, we're moving towards restorative practices, more positive behavioral interventions instead of punitive. And to me, when I read this, it looks, very punitive, that if we could just make a note of that the next time this is reviewed. I know that I rewrote the policy for the board, looking at Roseville's. And I think we're probably at a point where we are in need of rewriting this in terms of the more positive behavior interventions instead of the punitive ones. For example, just in the, it was section 3, the areas of responsibility, and it says the school board holds all school personnel responsible for the maintenance of order within the school district. I'd rather see something there, the maintenance of a safe, supportive, and equitable climate in the school district. I think it's time that we look at that in terms of changing ideas of what school discipline looks like. So I'd just like that noted for the next time it goes to the policy committee.
And I believe this is an annual renewal.
It's,
So
yeah, it's
come
an annual
around.
review. So we could flag
Around,
that
yeah.
and actually start thinking
Yeah,
about
it would
it.
take some
in
considerable
term-
work, so yeah, that's,
Even if we did a little bit before
Right.
the student handbook comes out and things like that.
Yep.
It might be good to put it on a sooner review so we can be prepared for next school year.
sounds good.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion about the policies? Okay, you've heard the policy with the slight changes. All those in favor of adopting the policies, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, we've adopted those policies. Thank you. All right, so at this point, we are, now it's time for board forum, which gives board members the opportunity to speak about whatever they'd like to, community events, things that are going on in the school district. So I will open it up for board forum. Mr. Wilson.
Yes, I have a couple, Chair Mullen. First of all, I'd like to extend a profound note of thanks to the White Bear Lake Area High School, White Bear Lake Area Hockey Association. They donated $500,000, which I understand is the first installment. They plan to make another, to the city of White Bear Lake. Well, what's that got to do with the school board? It's for the renovation of the White Bear Sports Center, and we have a direct nexus to that with our hockey programs. And so I just want to go on record as, acknowledging that gift to the city, which will come around to support our own school program. So thank you very much again to the White Bear Lake Area Hockey Association. That is not a small figure. Secondly, Dufresne Manufacturing, which is a very strong partner in our career pathways programs, has been nominated. They're down to one of 3 final nominees statewide for employee empowerment. And I wish to extend congratulations on behalf of our board to Dufresne Manufacturing and wish them the best in their final selection.
All right. Anything else under board forum? Ms. Fahey.
I have a, Saturday, I think Mr. Wilson and I went on the tour of the city of Hugo, organized by the city administrators
the
of
council,
Hugo,
yeah.
the
City
council of Hugo, and Brian Baird, the city manager. It was a 2-hour bus trip through Hugo, and having been there on a summer trip 2 years ago, it's amazing. If I would recommend, if any other board members, if they run this tour again, the amount of building in Hugo is mind-boggling. And I must be completely out of touch with housing prices when they were saying what the houses were worth. But question 2 is, I sat there and made notes as we went around on the trip, and there seems to be some that I'm not sure of. Our last demographer there was a approval for a 45-unit affordable rate apartment in the Victor Gardens area behind Festival that the principal from Otter Lake, Terry Dollum, said she wasn't aware of. And up the building that's happening in Forest Lake, one of the city personnel was meeting with the builder this week to develop a further 80 acres plus a further 50 acres. And they said there's things that are happening all the time that are new and coming up. So in terms of our facility planning, I know that we're talking about getting ready for the growth, but it is really amazing to go up through that Hugo area and look at all the things they're doing with stormwater reuse. There's a solar farm going in up there, but the building is just mind-boggling.
All right.
So I believe those that you're mentioning are the apartment, for example, I believe that was factored in.
That was?
If you're referring to something in addition to the, I think it was a couple 100-acre development north of Onika, if there's an additional 1850, that would be relatively new. But that's in the Forest Lake District. Obviously, that would potentially impact us. So yeah, we talk with Brian quite regularly, and I've been on a similar tour about 6 or 7 times, and I know some of the board members have been as well. And Brian is always willing to do it again if anybody would like to set that up, and we could certainly do that. So
Just to expound a little bit on Ms. Fahey's point, I mean, the whole time I was scrolling through my mind, how many of these were not permitted when the demographer ran her report? I'm thinking it's a few.
Our latest study included more of the estimate of the build-out than what was actually approved, so.
The other thing, there's a large development that's in the offing. It's in Forest Lakes District, but it's 3 blocks from Onika Elementary.
Yeah, that's the one I'm referring to, just north.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
Sorry.
And
big things.
there's also, we went through the industrial area. In terms of our career pathways, there's quite a few businesses that would be great partners. I mean, Excel Energy has a complete training facility up there. And I think, was it Schweiters also?
Schweiters, yeah.
Schweiters. I always pronounced that wrong, sorry. Schweiters is expanding also, but would be great partners in terms of our career pathways.
They're directly down the manufacturing line.
All right.
Thank you.
Anything else under board forum? With nothing else, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Chair, I move to adjourn.
And I will second that, and we are adjourned.